The U.S. CoreLogic S&P Shiller index was even year over year in June, signaling a market shift, maybe. So they cite, of course, elevated mortgage rates will likely keep a lid on additional gains for the rest of the year. In previous shows, we talked about some projections are that there will be mild increases of value over the rest of this year. But the biggest thing for me, guys, is this first graph that shows that we hit a trough. And we hit a trough in June of 2023. So while we may have seen a stagnation or a flattening year over year, what I'm seeing is we hit a trough. And in certain areas, we're going to get to this, certain areas you saw a little bit of a resurgence after a short little dip. Yeah. Which means that trough will be the quote unquote local bottom for prices, and that stabilization and that flattening is bound to continue. That's my 2 cents.
No, yeah, and even from previous expectations, a lot of people didn't think that houses were gonna, go up in value this upcoming year. But I've been seeing a lot of difference in opinions now recently with everything that's coming out, and they do expect houses to continue to go up. So, I mean, it goes right back to the never-ending story. We don't have enough houses for the demand that we currently have in the market, and I feel that's going to continue to be the story into 2024.
And there's a couple of conversations that keep coming back up that I'm seeing in either the comments threads or social media posts we're making. One of them is, hey, what about all this Airbnb inventory? And we had talked about that in a previous show. Airbnb reservations are significantly down. So maybe some of that will hit the market. But then you have the question that I have not been able to really wrestle and come to a conclusion myself is, at what point will the people with the big money bags sitting on the sidelines step in? So if you're talking about the BlackRocks, you're talking about the Chase, that they have like a war chest of cash ready. What are they waiting for? A 5% correction, a 10 or 20%? Like, how soon will they jump into the field and start grabbing up homes for cash out of the hands of aspiring home buyers who are qualified?
And that's scary to think, because if they're holding off and they're still not, hitting the market and buying in bulk, then they must know something that we don't know yet.
That. Right there. That, and then it makes me curious. Okay, well, at what point are they going to step in? I mean, so let's play a little game. Let's say you have $100 billion right now. $100 billion. Let's say you have $100 billion and you have a war chest amassed and you can spend it on properties. How risky would you get, and at what point, what kind of price discount would you need in order to start throwing money at homes, Mikey?
Well, I mean, I guess it's independent on the actual property, though, right?
I'm asking you. You got $100 billion. Okay. What do you think? What would you need, a 5% haircut, a 10% haircut? At what point would you jump in and start acquiring properties?
Based off market value, to be honest, if I were an investor, I mean, I'd want it not taking into account any repairs or things like that. I'd want it 20, maybe 30% at a discount.
Okay. All right. So do you think that you'll be too late to the game and people would step in before you and buy it at 15 or 10?
Quite possibly. Maybe not, though.
Maybe
that's not big enough.
Maybe not at volume or at scale to buy like a whole neighborhood or something. Okay, that's good. What about you, Brian? What do you think?
I feel I would play on the riskier side and wait a lot more. Reason being is because I don't have much confidence in the Fed's words and how they say things based on all the stuff they said these last couple of years. So for me, it's really more of a let's wait and see, because if nothing's really changing, we've gone through almost a whole year of 2024. Rates went, up to 7, have been flirting with 6.5 to 7, higher days, some days, lower days, and other days. But I feel like we're yet to see something big still happen in the economy. Jobs are still jobbing. The math isn't mathing. So there's a lot of things that are still very unclear. And that's for why I foresee BlackRock and all these big institutions still holding off, because there's still a lot more blood to hit the markets, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is partly that, and I'd love to paint a different picture, a little bit more optimistic, but the truth is we've seen a lot more people step into real estate in 21, 22, and 23 that have cash and are buying them for long-term holds. And it isn't just for the short-term rentals. Yes, there was a huge amount of volume bump very quickly for people buying Airbnb. And again, that was conditional with people trying to get out of the city. You can't stay at a hotel. You can't go on a normal vacation. You're not going on the cruise ship, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, that's all done, over with. We're coming back to what people would normally traditionally do. Mm-hmm. And so I think there are going to be some people that hits the market. And I'm just very curious. I don't know that, let's just say you are going to go buy a house, you're going to buy a house, I'm going to go buy a house. And then in the room, mixed in those offers that three of us make, is some other offer that is better than ours, quicker than ours. And it's you're battling BlackRock or Chase or somebody else that's just got the cash. And they're like, hey, we'll close in 72 hours. We don't care what the house looks like. We're going to buy it and hold it forever.
And unfortunately, that's some of the situations that do arise. And that's certainly what's happening in certain markets. And I just feel that, as a person, you can only control what you can't control, right? And I had a conversation with one of my family members the other day where I was telling him, I'm like, Mom, I wish I didn't know as much as I know because of everything that we're exposed to in our industry, right? So in a way, you're oblivious to what's happening. All you know is that things are getting more expensive, everything's going up, and that's really what it looks like, right, to the regular everyday person. But in reality, for people like us that are in the trenches, looking at the data, looking at stuff that's really happening that can drastically change people's financial life and just life in general, it gets me to think, well, if we're saying the opposite of what's happening, what are we really doing to the people that we're trying to help? So therefore, I'm glad we were able to have these tough discussions and talk about what's really happening, because if we don't say it, who is? So I'm glad that, people tune in. And right now it's more about having the right plan to be able to have the right execution when the opportunity presents itself. And maybe it's not the right time for you, but you can prepare, build your war chest in your own way, and be ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and I think this goes to something we continue circling around, guys, which is if you're persistent and you have grit and you have it as your personal goal to get ready to buy a house, go buy a house. I honestly, for myself, I don't care who's in the room with me. I want to win. I want to compete to win. So it doesn't matter if I'm shadow boxing Chase or I'm shadow boxing BlackRock. If there's a place I want, I'm gonna go take it down. That's the attitude I have to bring to the table beyond my approval, if you will, because all this data that we're looking at shows that the prices are what they are. They're flattening in a lot of areas. They're still positive, not negative. You don't see the average going down. You see the average flattening. And that's the whole country. Yeah. There's so much wild variety in that number that we're still flat is kind of ridiculous to me, but also kind of cool. And that, even where there were some declines in like the big metro areas, where there were some declines, they're slowing. So they're not as steep and as long as we thought they would be. And I think that proves the counterpoint that maybe we don't get to 30. Maybe it won't get to 20. I have no idea. There's just this hasn't happened like this before.
But one thing I have started to see though is that a lot of people get intimidated by the high prices. But right now, I have been seeing offers getting accepted at not even the listing price, or we're not even the highest bid offer and we still get it accepted. So one of the things I am saying is that there is opportunity in the way that you present your offer, the people that guide you to get that offer, and the way that you communicate to the other party. It's not always about, hey, slapping the highest price on the offer, because, hey, what if the offer doesn't appraise? Now you have to come out of pocket or renegotiate.
That's a real issue. That's an actual real problem. It's the appraisal thing. And the other opportunity I would say is that because home equity is so high, sellers who may not be getting the offer that they want do have a little leverage. They can do seller closing cost credits. They could do a partial price reduction. They could do 2-1 buy down with you. There's lots of choices because the seller has all the cards in their hand and they can kind of leverage where they want to position themselves.
Yeah, and I think right now it's a perfect opportunity to ask, because if you don't ask, you're definitely not going to get anything. But I've seen people ask for $20,000 and they come back and say 15. Oh, well, great. That's still $15,000 that you would never have.
Well, I mean, Brian, we saw with our guy Tavon, maybe he's watching this, maybe he's not, but he just got into some new construction for only $525,000 with $35,000 in credit. That's ridiculous. That's pretty much unheard of. And I mean, listen to Brian talk right now. What I got out of it if I was a consumer is, if I'm even thinking about buying a house, let me just at least check. Let me see where I'm at. If you can't, then you at least know where you're at with your financial picture, and now you have a clear mortgage plan going forward. And you're set up for success now.
You guys see that 100%. Meme where there's like a Halloween skeleton looking out the blinds, and it says homeowners waiting for prices to drop. Have you seen that one? Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's like, something's always going to be happening in the economy. So, if you're even thinking about it, really what it comes down to is what's your situation?
Yeah.
100%. We see some people can afford right now. Some of them can't. Talk to your loan officer, hopefully us. But, if not, just at least get a feel for what your whole financial picture is. Set yourself 100%. Up for success.
And for those of you watching and listening here in San Diego, one of the charts that we have here that references San Diego is their prices have increased double the pre-pandemic rate. So there was a measurement of June of 2015 to June of 2019, and then they compared that to June of 2023. And it was 0.6 compared to 1.1, which is just about double. Wow. So what you're seeing in San Diego is, despite all of the challenges and the business being open, business being closed, you can go here, you can't go here, you got to do this, you can't do that, all that stuff, and then coming back out of all that, you still see San Diego having doubled its increase of appreciation and home price in that time. So basically now, compared to the window, which was 2015 to 2019, that to me signals more than anything else probably that we are probably in this price point to stay for a long time to come.
Well, and actually, I know maybe this might not sound super optimistic, just everything we've been saying so far for a consumer, but realistically for a consumer, you got to remember that because of where we're at right now, they're coming out with so many different programs to help people get in homes. For example, even I forgot where I was scrolling. It was probably Instagram, but I seen a Zillow ad for now. They're going to be offering 1% down payment loans. So it's like, it's not the end of the world. You can still buy in this market. You just got to find the right loan officer or the right bank, whatever, with the right program for you.
And did you know Cal Haffa Dream Program is making a comeback?
Cal Haffa HFA Dream for All
is
program.
making a comeback in 2024.
Dude, if only they knew. If
Man,
only
you
they
guys,
knew.
you got to go back and watch our Easter video from this year, and you can see Mikey dressed up in a rabbit suit talking about Cal Haffa.
Oh,
That's
my
funny.
God.
So another thing, just real interesting in this article, guys, was that the price increases in San Diego were across all different tiers: the low tier home price, medium tier, and high tier. Which, again, no surprise, it's San Diego. You can see on the chart that other cities have more kind of disparate price changes based on whether it's the high tier, medium, or low, but it's pretty even for San Diego. And again, some of the more like, let's say, long-term centric places where people just move and they'll just hunker down and stay because it's beautiful and they want to be there.
Look at San Francisco. Nobody wants to go there anymore.
San Francisco is a whole different. It's a whole different show. It's either a really, really long show or a very short one.
Well, guys, it's like, can we even be surprised with that in San Diego? It's because going back to my point, who doesn't want to live here?
Yeah.
So one last thing I did want to bring about affordability is, one of the, I'll give you guys an insider tip right now. A lot of people don't like to use the down payment assistance program, but if you have money in the bank and you have your own funds, you can combine it with the down payment assistance program, which now I'm an advocate for, because then it's going to give you a lower payment and a better chance of getting approved for something that you want. So that's my 2 cents on that.
That's good.